Okay, we are back for the spoiler section. So one last time, if you guys are still here for some reason who haven't seen the film, go watch the film. It's still worth a watch. But I do want to start talking about the spoiler portion of things. This could be short, but we'll see. Um, I guess oh man, I really do want to talk about the ending, but there are some things that kind of like were dumb. Um, I personally found just like the thing with Bill, the guy who stutters. Um Maybe, he was super just over his head or something, but he made some really dumb decisions and stuff. Like he's the one that was like, "Hey, we gotta stick together," blah blah blah. But and yet he was the one who kind of separated himself from the group, and he was chasing after this kid, and this kid was spotted from early in the film when he wanted to talk to Richie because Richie is a well-known comedian, and the kid wanted to like take a picture or something, or like an autograph. But Richie, right after coming from a really scary episode with Pennywise, because he's like torturing them, he's like, playing around with them with fears and stuff like that. Richie like yells at the kid, being paranoid and all, and he realized that the parents were like there pretty much. He's like, oh shit. So that's where you first see the kid, and then you see him again later on in the film with Bill, after him like riding the bike and everything, which I thought was that whole scene was really weird. But I guess he's just he wants to like kind of relive the old days being in Derry or Dury, whatever, with the whole bike thing, and that's where you see freaking Stephen King himself as the shopkeeper. He gave the bike to Bill for what, $300 or something, because he knows he can afford it, because he's a well-known writer. It's just all funny. And yeah, so he was like riding the bike. It's all old and ruggedy and rusty and whatever, so he had a hard time like getting it going at the start, but I guess he just got used to it. But anyway, he meets the kid once again after Bill kind of goes through his little like fear episode or whatever with Pennywise. Like he saw the drain hole again, and that's where his little brother died a long time ago from the first chapter. And he was like a really important like character. Of course, he was like the pinnacle start of the movie in the first one, and kind of sets the motions, I guess. And once again, he sees his little brother, or at least an illusion of his little brother, and he just falls for it. He's just so desperate to redeem himself because he let his little brother die, and he just let go of himself, and he almost lost his arm himself. But I don't know, it was just really weird. Like you see the hands grabbing him, and then more baby hands and stuff, and somehow he was able to come out of there with his arm still intact. And then the kid showed up like, hey, what are you doing here? And then the Bill was just grabbing him and was just really yelling at him like, don't go near that drain hole or whatever, go home, blah blah blah, like you gotta get out of here, and just really getting in his face and scaring him at the same time. And yeah, and so later on, realizing, Pennywise and stuff, he wanted to go rescue the kid because, Pennywise is pretty brutal with kids. So he didn't want to leave him alone. So he went on his own, even though he said we gotta stick together, but he went on his own and tried to rescue the kid, and the kid dies, unfortunately. Like, I thought the kid was all part of his illusion or something because of the fact that Bill let his little brother die, and he never really let go of that. sense. And I thought, Pennywise was playing around with him, with that. But I guess that little kid was real, and he dies in the funhouse or whatever. So, with the blood splatter and everything, it's just like, damn, okay. After realizing that was all real, I guess he's really dead. Like, damn, Pennywise does not really mess around with these kids, and which comes to another point, with, I guess you can consider as a plot hole. Pennywise could kill these people, right? Anytime soon. He kills the kids that he comes across rather quickly. Like, he never, like the amount of time he's given with these adults is kind of unreal almost in comparison to the time he's given with other kids and stuff. Yeah, sure. He's done, I think he's done the same thing with the kids from chapter 1, right? The main kids. But maybe he was trying to actually kill them, but I don't know. They've actually gotten away with it. But I think because of that, he wanted to really like bring him back, and get his revenge. And even though they pose the biggest threat to him, because they know him, they know all about what he does and stuff, and they know that matchup the most against Pennywise out of all the people around Maine or whatever. So even though they pose a threat, he wants them to come back. I guess he has that like serial killer sort of mentality where he really wants to kill these certain people, but he's gonna do it in such a flashy like way or whatever, and really try to get the fears out of them or whatever. I don't know. One can say that he was being too greedy, and he let that overcome him. I guess that's one way to put it, and at least that's how I see things anyway. And one can put it that way. So I guess Pennywise is just really greedy as a character, but it's just weird because he doesn't mess around with the other kids that appeared in the film, but when it comes to certain people, and he's even killed the gay couple from the very beginning, like nothing. He just bites the side of the one that was drowning, after he got beaten senseless, and he got killed right away. And of course, the one that was rescuing him, he got killed. So it's like, why does he leave these people alive for so long? And is it just because he wants more fear from them? Is he just trying to like being greedy with them or something? He just really wanted to torture them. I don't know. Whatever the case was, it's just weird, and I guess you can consider it still as a plot hole. So I don't know. It just doesn't add up as well as it could have been, and it's just, I don't know. It is unfortunate on that part. So yeah. So later on, I do want to talk about the bully. I felt like the bully didn't really add too much. I just didn't know or understand why he kept him alive too. Like, of all the henchmen, he had to pick him, and of course he's fat, he's overweight in comparison to his younger self, and he still has the mullet, in which they even like make a joke about it in the film. And he got a good stab at fucking Eddie. Like, he stabbed him in the mouth, and I'm like, oh fuck, Eddie went through some real shit, man. Before the climax, man. He's kind of like the punching bag of the characters. Poor Eddie, but he is a strong favorite of mine, and yeah. So anyway, Bill, or excuse me, wow, I just lost the name. The bully, or Henry, excuse me. He didn't really add up to anything. Like, it didn't really state why he was kept alive, why he was the henchman, or of all people, right? But maybe the answer was in the first chapter. But Yeah, and also another weird part was his dead friend, like Henry's dead friend. When he was in the sewers, he had the spray can and the lighter, so he had a little flamethrower going on. That was him. That was his trademark thing before he died, and he came around and somehow was Pennywise's henchman as well. It doesn't really add up to why they became his henchmen or whatever, but I don't know. It just didn't really go anywhere for me, and I just didn't buy it as well as I wanted to. Um, so I also felt that the teaser trailer kind of it spoiled such a good scene. Like Beverly's episode or whatever was pretty good, but if it weren't for the teaser trailer, um, I mean, sure, it really set up the movie, like that trailer was pretty cool, right? But that scene was like almost 1-to-1, you know what I mean, ratio, meaning that trailer um took like most of the scenes, and there are some newer parts in the movie, but I don't know, it really spoiled that scene. I felt that whole scene could have been a whole lot better for me if it weren't for that trailer. I felt what they could have done was maybe perhaps the scene with the gay couple. Obviously you want to chop it down and stuff, and um still tell the story that they are gay, and there's a group of people that didn't like it. Obviously they're anti-gay, like couple sort of people, and they beat them up, throw them in the river, or one of them in the river, and you see Pennywise. I felt like that part could have been the scene instead of the one with Beverly, because that's like one of the main parts of the film, and for them to kind of show that part like pretty like close to 1-to-1 pretty much, kind of ruined it for me too. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Like, what could they have done better with the teaser trailer? And like, it's not to say that the trailer was awesome at the time, but having to see this movie now, it's like, damn, I wish this scene was actually cooler, because it was only shown off in the trailer, so you already know how that part's gonna play out. But the only big difference was, of course, what the granny looks like as her monster form or whatever. Like, it was just like this weird gray sort of old lady, naked, of course, like taller, lanky, and had like a bunch of mouths on her throat. It was grody. It was pretty insane, right? And I don't know, like that whole thing could have been so much better if it weren't for that teaser trailer now. But I guess it is what it is, and a lot of movies go through that nowadays. Starting with, not starting with, but like one of the recent memories of that incident was like Batman vs Superman, when they showed off fucking Doomsday. Like, come on, dude. But anyway, so yeah, that happened. They could have used a different scene if they're gonna go that route. Yeah, because like that whole scene, with the gay couple was the beginning. It was a good 10 minutes. It felt like, and it didn't really add up to the film, I guess, unless they really wanted to make a connection with the main cast, because there's another spoiler that I want to talk about, and it's Bill, or not Bill, Richie. Richie, has been alluded to him being gay, because they showed off a past scene of Richie playing Street Fighter with another person, and they were having a good time, and I guess the way Richie put said things or something about, hey, let's play again or something or whatever. And I don't know, maybe he gave off like a weird look or something. I don't remember why the other person, went straight into calling him like, gay and like a faggot or whatever, and like, being anti-gay essentially, right? And he was talking to Henry when he showed up and telling him what Richie was doing, and calling him queer and everything, making fun of him because he's gay or whatever, possibly. And yeah, and Pennywise was even like saying like, "Oh, I know your little secret" or whatever. So it is alluding to the fact that Richie is hiding, and he is a closet gay person, and he hasn't admittedly come out and admitted that he is gay, and that's why that kind of plays into what his fear was, I guess, having people to know that he's gay, because I think it was, that time period, of course, around that time, that was when people weren't very accepting of gay people still. A long time ago was a different time, man. It's amazing as to see how much has changed. Whether it's like, all the whole like social justice warrior thing, the Me Too movement, but also the fact that more and more people have come out, over the years because of, certain things and stuff, and especially with Obama and whatever. But anyway, that played into what Richie was going through. So I think he is gay. That's cool. And like it doesn't really take away or anything. It's just I guess that was why they had the whole scene in the first place. It's like, oh, the concept of being gay, that's gonna play a part later on in the movie. I guess without actually saying it. So yeah, so Richie, I think he is, especially with the very end where he went back to that fence post or whatever, and he was carving his initial, and then he put an X next to it, and then he put another initial with his which was E, implying that he was actually in love, I guess, with Eddie, which was why when that happened with Eddie, I know this is a spoiler section and all, but I want to get to it, which was why when that happened to Eddie, he really felt it, and he was crying and whatever, and he he had those feelings for Eddie, because he actually loved him and stuff. So anyway, the I guess I can go through like the episodes, I guess, like the whole like fear scenes and stuff like that. It's hard to say which one's my favorite. Because Richie had the Paul Bunyan thing. That was actually like pretty cool in a scary sense. There was the one with Beverly, of course, with the whole granny thing. It was just funny, creepy. It had that nice like atmosphere, and had some tension going on, which was why it was. I guess I can consider that as my favorite one. But it's just the whole trailer thing kind of ruined it almost. But it's still a good scene. If anyone hasn't seen the trailer, then yeah, that scene is great, absolutely. So I think she went through some shit, with the granny. Obviously everyone else went through their horrible episodes. Eddie was just funny. I think Eddie is like the next favorite. It was just what he went through was like more funny than anything, and also gross. But it was still like a fun watch, Just like this whole film, it's just a fun watch, But yeah. Anyway, I guess there's really not much else to talk about. I know there was that whole thing with Bill with his little brother, and there's that weird part with Eddie's pharmacist or whatever, the pharmacy that Eddie went to. Like, I don't know why Eddie, or I don't know how Eddie had his prescription, even though he doesn't really live there anymore. It was just so weird. Like, I don't know how he, I don't know. That whole part was really weird. And um the pharmacist was really weird. You know, like I just wasn't super sure that he was a part of Pennywise's like group or whatever, but I guess he's a real pharmacist and he was maybe perhaps masturbating over there. I don't know. It was really weird, like what was going on with there, man? Like, bro, you're on the job, man. Like, oh, but anyway. I guess those things happen in the real world, so that's why. I mean, I guess it is funny because it's Eddie, and then Eddie is supposed to be like the bullet sponge, I guess. He goes through a lot of things, so that's why it's kind of funny. Um, and yeah, he gets barfed on and stuff, which is like really funny. Um, but yeah, so I guess yeah. So now we can get to the end of things. I don't know if there is really like much else to go off of. Um, yeah. So so this whole thing with it or Pennywise, the thing is that he comes from space, of course, and for those who read the book, probably know that already, but um, it's just disappointing that we didn't really get much else with Pennywise. Like, I really wished to see why he is that clown. Maybe the first chapter might have answered that somewhat, like so he can lure children in. But I just wonder why Pennywise, why that clown is the primary form. What was that part about with Beverly? Like, cause I guess she saw Pennywise as a human. Was that human taken over by the monster? Like, it's just weird. Like, did he become the puppet? Like, is that just an illusion? Is that really real? Did that really happen in the past? What about the grandma? Like, was she once, an actual daughter that died? In Pennywise's lifetime. I don't know. It's just there's so many questions for Pennywise and around Pennywise, but they didn't really like get to tap on that part because reasons. And I don't know. This is a 3-hour film, and they didn't really take the time to fit Pennywise's like backstory, or anything of that sort. And this is supposed to be the final part. So I really wish they expanded on that part, but maybe it's not in the book. But I don't care about the book. I'm watching the movie. So I wish the movie did some things different, just like adding a story with Pennywise. Explain more about his origins, how he became to be, how he became to be the clown. You know what I mean? Why did he choose being the clown? He could have been a dog. Kids love dogs, right? I don't know. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of questions I gotta say about Pennywise, but anywho, so yeah, it's an alien. It's from space, dimensional, that sort of thing, and its true form, if you want to be technical, is just 3 little spirit bombs or spirit control balls from Yamcha, yours truly. But I guess his other true form, quote unquote, is just Pennywise with spider limbs. From what I can understand, the past films or TV show, whatever, past media, let's just say, he was just a spider. And what I've heard from the original books, thanks to Adam, there was a turtle involved. And this turtle is like the creator of the universe, and Pennywise or it is like one of the 12 evils or cosmic things or beings or whatever that's like super powerful and of course evil. I don't know. It's just really weird. This whole thing was, this whole series is supposed to be silly. from yours truly, Stephen King, because he did a lot of things to himself, and that's how he came to like write all these weird stories with particularly bad endings and stuff. But yeah, and speaking of bad endings, I mean, there was a lot of fun stuff happening with the more fears and stuff. I love the scene with the doors, with Richie and Eddie. That was great. I love that scene because Richie is my favorite character. Eddie is also a strong favorite, and them together was absolutely great. And they had to go through like the not scary door or very scary door, and then there's just scary, in the middle and stuff. And there's the part with the Pomeranian, and like I said, like, oh, there's a little Pomeranian, like I just got a little puppy, like, oh, but it's coming, right? But the way it animated, I didn't expect it, so that's why it kind of gave me a little scared, and that's like the most I got from the film when it comes to like being scared or whatever. Out of all the jump scares, right, had involved with the little Pomeranian. But it's just the way it moved, the way it transformed is what kind of like, whoa, it's kind of cool, but it's like, whoa, I kind of didn't expect how it moved. I knew it was gonna like become scary or whatever, like blah or whatever, but I don't know. It was really funny. That whole thing was funny. Um, there was this whole thing also with like the I don't want to say it's a spear, but I guess it is a spear. It was like one of those like tools you get from the fireplace or whatever, or it's like just like a piece of a metal fence or something. And Beverly picked it up from the floor. She broke the mirror with it, I believe, during one part of them. After them, they've entered the old house, and they run into Pennywise again. And there's this like really radical scene with their friend Stanley, which I almost forgot to mention. Yes, he died in the beginning because he did not want to be a part of it. He was just too scared to do it, so he offed himself. He was the first one to go. So the entire cast wasn't there because Stanley killed himself. And there is, a good reason why I guess he went by his own hand later on. But anyway, his head shows up. His young self. His head shows up because he's dead, and they played it with that fear, and he becomes this hideous-looking spider thing, and the transformation was pretty awesome, I must say. And he was just about to fuck up Richie, and Eddie was too scared. But what's his face? Ben. Ben came in with a knife and just stabbed the living bejesus out of him. Stops the spider from killing Reggie, and the spider just goes. You've never see him again. It's like, okay. But it's all his part of fear anyway, so he's not like, Stanley can come back or whatever. So yeah. So that's where I got the weapon from. Sorry about the tangent, but it's all related. So he got the weapon, and Beverly was like, "It can kill him if you believe," or something. It's just so that is like one of the most cliche things. Like, if I believe in it, I can do it or whatever. It's like, I don't know. It kind of is the same branch of like the whole like friendship is magic sort of bullshit. I'm just like, really, you know what I mean? Like, just it's just a fucking weapon. Just use it. You know what I mean? You don't have to fucking put a cliche on there while you're at it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Just because like, oh, Pennywise is this all powerful whatever creature, but for somehow, if you believe it, it's gonna actually hurt him or something. It's just so weird. It's just so weird. But anyway, so forgot to talk about Mike, I believe. He was the one who only stayed He's the only one who stayed in the city, and he was the one who assembled all the losers back, and he told them about the ritual, how to get rid of Pennywise potentially, and he um and the others came down to the well, and they found this, I guess, sanctuary for Pennywise, his birthplace, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. And they go through the ritual, and the ritual looked like it was working, but then it didn't because Mike purposely left out an important detail, and that is the sacrifice. So not only do they have to sacrifice things from like relics from the past, like the little love letter, the little like weird hair protector thing, because the spiders, the spiders in the secret base or whatever that they wore as kids, they threw that in there, and other things like the inhaler. They, you know, through other things from the past. The token and stuff. The little boat that Bill's younger brother made in the past. Or no, he made the boat for Bill. Bill made the boat for his little brother. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, his little brother played with it. Blah blah blah. You get the picture. He threw it in there. You get the point. So those relics were thrown in there. It almost got Pennywise, I guess. But, the little balloon came out and said no, pretty much. Haha, you can't get me because Mike left out one important detail. The sacrifice also requires the lives of the people who were performing said sacrifice. And even so, they don't even know if that was going to be successful because in the past, there was this Indian tribe that taught Mike how to potentially get rid of Pennywise. But it seemed like they showed the past, and these, the Indian tribesmen or whatever have performed it once before, and they also sacrificed their lives, and yet Pennywise is still there. So that tells you that the ritual was going to be bullshit anyway. I guess in a sense. But, I mean, I don't know. It could have worked for this many years or something. I don't know. But, nonetheless, it would not have worked, all the way. So, there was really no point to doing it. So that's why there was that scratched off side of that little, pot thing or whatever. The relic, the big relic. And that was pretty much useless, unless they had themselves killed. But he just left it out because he doesn't want to see his friends and himself die for what could have potentially been in vain anyway. So I guess that was Mike's fear, you know what I mean? Besides the his parents getting killed in the fire. And after all that, Eddie was able to throw that spear. After bullying it, he threw the spear when he saw Richie almost get killed pretty much with the deadlights, or aka the spirit bombs that's Pennywise's true form. It was just really funny because Richie was distracting the monster with rocks, and right when he was about to say "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker," it had that really cool moment of Richie getting his eyes just on the back of his head, just had that look on his face, and Pennywise was just about to put him in the deadlights or whatever, and Eddie was able to stop him because he threw the spear right into his mouth or whatever. So he wounded him pretty good. And Eddie thought he got him. So he's like, yeah, I got him. I think I got him. Yeah. And then Oh man, he got fucking stabbed, and yeah, I was like, that was his final moments, pretty much. Um, yeah, I mean, man, it sucked for someone like Eddie to go. I hated it that part, to be honest, and I really thought he was gonna make it out, despite how big of a wound it was, and to me, I thought Eddie was gonna not have the wound when it was finally killed, or Pennywise, or whatever. Because it's all part of the illusion, blah blah blah, maybe possibly, but that part was real. And after overcoming that denial, I thought, yeah, I think Eddie's gonna die. You know, as much as I did not want to see Eddie die, and but in that process, they were trying to see how they could kill him. Um, it was weird because it was just like mumbo jumbo because Eddie said he was choking him, or he was choking one of the creatures, which is a part of him. And when he choked him, it was like actually affecting him or something. And then, so they were like, oh, so we gotta get him to the same size as us, and then we can attack him or whatever. But that didn't work because he's not going to the fucking hole anyway. So it's like, well, what the hell? Now what? Then somehow someone said, "Oh, you're just a fucking clown or whatever," and then Pennywise is just like, because apparently insulting him, showing no fear or whatever, is what scares him. It's kind of just it's so obvious, and yet it just was not figured out somehow early on, because they're all too scared or whatever. And it's so cliche. Like the whole message around that is so cliche. But this is a book from a long time ago, so that is probably why it's built that way. But it is what it is. It's so cliche, so tacky, and cheesy. Like his weakness is pretty much just insults. So I guess in a way, if you guys watch Dragon Ball, especially with the movies, Janemba is inspired from Pennywise because when you insult Janemba, for a moment at least, he gets wounded. He gets cracks and stuff, but he can regenerate and whatever. But Pennywise here, if you keep insulting him, he goes fucking small and turns into a big old fucking headed baby with his head all deflated, like, oh. So man, that is just like, what the fuck? Is that really how it ends? And so after all that, they just rip his little heart, and then they just kind of just crush it, like squeeze it. They don't really like do a dramatic like or anything like in Mortal Kombat or whatever, but but they did it nonetheless, and he just crumbles away, you know. But I guess they wanted to send the message of just like, stand up, don't be scared, and you overcome whatever it is that's in your way. But it's so cliche. It's just so like, man, that is such a shitty way to go, you know? It's funny because like myself and Danny on our way back home, we were making fun of the shit out of that ending. And we were just like, what if they were just like using more like modern insults? Like, we kind of like built it up. We're we're kind of doing like the Sandlot as a joke, like pus slicker, fart sniffer, that kind of thing. And then you fucking clown. And then, and then came to like, fuck face, shithead, motherfucking, whatever. And then like now, and then we started to use much more modern terms like you fucking pleb, you fucking normie. And then as like the last insult would be like, "You motherfucking weeb!" And we were just cracking up and having a funny ass conversation about that. And so yeah, that's how it goes. That's the equivalent of that. If you just keep cussing at him, that's what kills him. You know, Pennywise will not survive as a YouTuber because that's all what the comments are, especially if you're really popular. You know, and like it's funny because one of the modern insults or modern ways to insult someone when someone has a really bad take on something on, let's say, Twitter, they call you a clown, you know? They have a picture and everything. And that's what they said in the fucking movie. And that's what just hurts him. And it's like, oh my God. Why is that the primary weakness, you know? Like, God. That is such a shit. Like, the more I talk about it, it's the shittier it gets. You know? This is the final chapter. This is Pennywise here. This is it. You know? He's supposed to be like one of the most iconic, most powerful, most feared, I guess, horror icons, along with like Jason and Freddy Krueger. I guess Chucky, I guess, and the Leprechaun or whatever, and then Pinhead or whatever, and the Predator, the Alien, those guys. Of course, and then the classic monsters like Frankenstein, the werewolf, the Blob, the Thing. I would be terrified more of those guys because it's like their weaknesses are a little more practical, but it's like nothing. There's nothing stupid like insulting someone. That is so easy for anyone today. But I know this is all coming from Stephen King's novel, which is ironic because Stephen King wrote a fucking character about a writer who writes shitty endings. That's the main character. That's fucking Bill. And yet this movie had a shitty ending. How ironic. That's the definite example of irony. It can't get any more ironic than that, man. Man, I just did not expect myself to get into this whole thing, but holy shit, wow. So yeah, he dies that way, and everything's all good, I guess, and after that, it's just a happy ending. And there was one more thing I wanted to talk about, which was, where was everyone? When they were walking back into town, it's like, is it that early in the morning or something? Like, why is it so empty? But anyway, that's a little minor complaint. There was, that whole part again, with Bill, or not Bill, Richie. And, when they all fall into the pool, they all started to just settle down. Or not pool, the lake, the giant lake. They take a bath in the lake water. And Richie just lost it, man. I felt that, because I liked fucking Eddie as well. He was like a very strong favorite of mine when it comes to characters. And, he's gone. It's like, damn, So yeah, again, Bill Hader did a really good job on that part too. Of being really sad about what happened with Eddie. And everyone gathered around and, gave a very warm, heartwarming hug and everything. And so yeah, so that all happened, and there's no indication of another series possibly with Pennywise. That's it. That's the end of it, in just 2 parts. And it ended with insults. Insults, man. Just something anyone can do on YouTube in the comment section. Just be like, yeah, your video sucked. You're a fucking clown. I don't respect your opinion. and go fuck off or something. I don't know. And man, they make Pennywise really just pathetic there on that part. But anyway, it's all a happy ending. Ben gets married with Beverly because he's the one true love, I guess. And she really had the feelings for the one who wrote that letter for her on that postcard. And they get married or whatever. They go on a boat. They have a dog and everything. Everything's all good on that part. And then there came Bill with him writing another story or something, and Mike gives him another call. And he tells him about the letter. He's like, "What letter?" And then he reads the letter. And the letter is from Stanley, the one who killed himself earlier. So the reason is just that, there's really nothing much else to it, but he was just scared. He was scared of Pennywise, and he somehow remembered him most and stuff. Which presents another fucking little plot hole, in my opinion, because why is Stanley the only one that scared, and he's the one who remembers him, and yet everyone went through some shit with Pennywise? How do you forget just like that? How do you forget that much to that point? And yet Stanley is the only one. He is the weakest, I guess. But still, like, everyone else went through some shit too. Ben went through some shit, right? How do you forget that? No one ever forgets something that scary, There's a thing called PTSD. Those things do not help with forgetting something that traumatic, And yet, it just somehow just happened with everyone else. They were able to go on with their lives and stuff, and they were even like, what? I don't remember blah blah blah, whatever. And then Mike had to like help them catch up on things and stuff. And then they're like, oh, I started to remember blah blah blah. It's like, what? How? Like, you made a big ass promise. You went through all that shit, and you just forget it just like that? Yeah, I mean, they didn't forget it completely, but they're just like, man, it's such a blurry memory, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. That was the indication that I got anyway. But even so, it's like, how? How do you even forget that much? Even some, like, how do you forget some of that? It was such a big event. You fought a fucking, like, clown that did all these things to you, And it's also weird because Danny pointed this out too, while we were having dinner after, and it's that they all had iPhones, right? So what does that tell you? They have some form of social media. So how is it that they just didn't contact each other through there? And Mike had to just call them, So yeah, there's obviously a lot of inconsistencies, and there are some stuff that had to be retrofitted for today's age. But even so, like, it's like, how you have this technology and yet you don't have the means to contact each other with social media. I mean, I guess it's just them really drifting apart. They would have not have been, friends, later on. But you guys made a promise. You guys went through that whole thing with the clown. How is it that you forget that much? I really hate to repeat myself like this, but it's just, how does that even happen? So that's just that to me doesn't seem really believable at all, unless they were that much into their successes. They, all like the thing that they had all in common is that they were all pretty successful. Like even though yeah, Bill was a shitty writer, he still had a book made for him. Or not a book, a movie made for him, just like Stephen King. It's kind of like putting himself in that in this kind of world as a character. And then you have Richie being the stand-up comedian in LA or something like that, right? And then Ben is a architect. Eddie was the statistics guy or whatever for an insurance company, and he's married and stuff. Stanley was an accountant or something, and he was also married to someone else. And for the most part, they all were successful except for Mike, because he stayed behind, just so I guess he can keep track of these things. And you would think, like, and from there, you would think that with all this technology stuff, like, the iPhone, you're on Skype and stuff, you would think that he would at least, keep them updated over time throughout the years with the whole Pennywise thing. 27 years, yeah, sure, that's kind of a long time, but you could have gave him some yearly updates or whatever, or quarterly updates or seasonally updates or whatever, and that would have helped them, not forget things and remember the promise and stuff. I don't know. There are some weird inconsistencies and stuff, and there are probably a lot other plot holes or whatever, but that's the ones that do come to mind and bother me most, and that is just pretty much it. So I guess there's just really not much else. I was trying to come up with one more complaint, but I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I know this is gonna go on for too long. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the spoiler talk of things, at least for all the major spoilers I want to talk about and complaints and all that stuff. So that's why I give it a 7 out of 10, which still it's like it's not a bad movie and all, but there's so much going on that these holes are bound to pop up and stuff. And this is the final movie, so it's a little disappointing on that. So my expectations were a little high on this one, and that trailer did his job. It built me up to have this expectation, and it left me a little disappointed. So it deserves a 10, or not a 10, 7 out of 10. Excuse me. So if you guys have any comments about Pennywise or It Chapter 2 or anything related to that, please leave them down below. I'd love to check them out. And so that's pretty much it for It Chapter 2. That is probably the only horror movie I'll be willing to check out, but I don't know, maybe there will be others to come along. But there will be other movies to check out. I think Ford versus Ferrari is not too far. I know in October there's something going on, I think. But I know for November there will be Terminator and so on and so forth. In December, Star Wars, baby. But I think there's a couple other things in between, so we'll probably check those out and maybe do a review about it. But anyways, thank you so much for sticking around for It Chapter 2 and my thoughts about it. And don't forget to like, comment, anything related, and subscribe. And also, I have a Twitter, I have a Twitch, and other ways to support the channel. So please check that all out, all in the description below. It's only helpful, and so I really do appreciate it if you guys take the time to do so. So yeah, It Chapter 2. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Sean out.